All right, joining me now is Colonel Rob Maness. Colonel, welcome back to the broadcast. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks, Brandon. Good to see you.
All right, Colonel, I want to go to this New York Post article. I don't know if you've seen this. This is the New York Post. William McGasland, retired general who led Air Force Research Laboratory, goes missing. A retired U.S. Air Force general was reported missing in New Mexico, with authorities warning that medical concerns have heightened fears for his safety. He's 68, last seen at 11 a.m. Friday. So again, I don't know what this is about. I don't want to read too much into it. It may have absolutely nothing to do with what's going on in the Middle East. But, anytime you see guys like this, he was at Kirkland Air Force Base where you were. So anytime you start seeing these kind of people, go missing, you start getting a little concerned, make sure that these guys aren't being targeted. I don't know what his medical condition is. Maybe that's Alzheimer's, dementia, early Parkinson's. I don't know. I have no idea. Or maybe it's he's missing. They don't know where he's at, but he's got health issues. I don't know. But whenever I see articles like this, I start getting a little concerned as to whether some people are being targeted. I mean, we still don't know why Savannah Guthrie is gone. But anyway, do you want to speak to this? Did you know this man? He worked at the Air Force Base you were at.
He doesn't look familiar, but his name is familiar. So I may actually know him, and his looks have changed enough to where I don't recognize him. But we did have the Air Force Research Lab. Part of that entity was there at Kirtland Air Force Base. And what I noticed about the article, and I have seen the article, is that the 377th Air Base Wing organization is involved. That's the organization the wing I was in command of there. So that for a retiree, that seems to be a little bit out of the ordinary. It makes me want to know more about the story and what might actually be going on. We live in dangerous times, Brandon. So we should not necessarily assume, but have an expectation that things that are out of the ordinary and are aberrations are probably going to occur. And something that would be out of the ordinary is a former AFRL commander is kidnapped by adversaries during a combat operation that's obviously got a lot of people spun up.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that was my concern when I first read it. I thought, no. And that starts to become a real issue, because you talk about all the retired guys out there, all the retired generals, all the retired colonels that still know information, still have classified information in their head. And you start thinking about capturing these guys and holding them for ransom, or torturing them for information, or psychological operations of torturing them on video, and using them on video just as psychological operations to turn the American people against their own government, or to turn people more against Israel. Look at Israel's gotten us into. Now our own citizens who are retired are getting kidnapped and tortured. I mean, none of this is off the table in war, right?
Oh yeah, none of this is off the table. Look, the Iranian mullahs have been in all-out war against the United States for 47 years, since I was 17 years old when I was in uniform at age 17. I'd only been in the Air Force for about 3 months before they declared war on us, and it continues today. And as I said yesterday in a post, hopefully we'll be successful in this. And at age 65, I will no longer be under threat of the Islamists trying to kill me, but I certainly am until that's ended at some point in the future.
You say, no, we won't be under threat. So speak to the folks out there. They're saying this is not America first. Was it Tucker Carlson came out and said that we're fighting this war for Israel? This is Israel's last chance, that there are more people coming into office that are going to see it our way. And this is the last president, and members of Congress are leaving quickly who would be so Israel had to act now. We're only doing this for Israel, only Israel. Others are saying we don't care about this war, has no national security implications for us. Speak to that. Tell us why they're wrong.
Well, I just said it. The Iranians have been at war with the United States of America for 47 years. 47 years, and to this day, as the story we just talked about with the general, To this day, as a retired Air Force colonel that has had a top secret security clearance, I'm still under threat because the Iranians are at war with my country, and I'm a warrior in that country. My commission hasn't expired. That's why they go. One of the reasons why they go after us, but also what we know about not necessarily technology because it's changed so much, but about the processes, how we do business. Those kind of things don't change much. So they're at war with us. They're trying to kill us. They'll kill you, civilians, if they get an opportunity to. They've done it for 47 years. What is your point? Israel wasn't even in the picture very strongly back 47 years ago when I was an enlisted E1 and they started trying to kill me. So, and they did kill Americans and have killed thousands of America, all the way up of Americans, all the way up to recently. So this is not new. What people are talking about from an Israeli perspective is, look, you don't want us to work with our best ally in the region that's also that's under constant threat by these people. Why are you being ridiculous, folks? That's just the stupidest comment that I could imagine. But those same people, not necessarily Carlson, but a lot of those same people want us to work with a country that's not our ally, that's actually attacking NATO allies like Ukraine. It's crazy to act like that. Look, this threat, the Israelis have really good intelligence systems. They've got a very good human intelligence network in the Mossad. We know they're on the ground in Iran. They proved it long before the 12-day war, back during Operation Grim Beeper and those types of days. So why would we not go into a joint and combined operation with them and the Gulf Arab states from a defensive perspective, and any other ally that would like to join us that's under constant threat by these crazy people? Because they're nuts. That's why the Islamists can't have a nuclear weapon. It's not that the country of Iran can never have a nuclear weapon. If Iran existed today, where it was a friend to freedom and a friend to the United States of America, there may be some consideration to that. Look, the Pakistani government has one. They have Islam in that country too, but they are controlling that and have proven themselves to be able to control their desires and their needs and their uses of their arsenal. And these people cannot ever be trusted with that. And that's why this operation is going. And this operation is perfectly legal. President Thomas Jefferson did the very first one overseas in the early 1800s against the Barbary Coast pirates. I have a print of a painting called Payment in Iron of the USS Constitution, sending rounds into the Barbary Coast pirates' fortresses, and the Marines going in, the shores of Tripoli. That's the Marines of the United States of America under Thomas Jefferson doing a punitive expedition to stop what they were doing. And this is what has been needed to be done for a long time. And every American that fought in the GWAT that I talked to, I don't care who they are, fully supports it. I don't know where these people coming from on social media that say they're veterans, but they didn't go into combat in the global war on terrorism, because every one of those veterans said this has been a long time coming. What took so long? And we want it done. And we hope the people of Iran are able to rise up as quickly as possible and eradicate the IRGC and eradicate this theocracy and go back to a freedom-loving people where everybody has a say in their government and that works in a government that works for them. That's what we want. And we're going to take this system down. We're going to systematically taking it down. We are. This operation has been very successful so far.
Very successful so far, and glad it is. Well said. Not to frustrate you or the audience too much, but here's the clip of Tucker.
So let's assess the war now ongoing in its second day and try to answer those four questions. First, why did this happen? Now, in this case, there's a really simple answer. This happened because Israel wanted it to happen. This is Israel's war. This is not the United States' war. This war is not being waged on behalf of American national security objectives to make the United States safer or richer. This war is not actually even about weapons of mass destruction, nukes, chembio. No, this war is waged purely because Israel wanted it to be waged. Now, why say that out loud this early in the conflict? Isn't that dispiriting for, say, American troops fighting this war? Yes, it is. And we thought a lot about whether it was wise or decent even to say something like that out loud, and have decided that it is for the following reason. First, because the truth is always the only basis for wise decision making. When you lie to yourself or you lie to your people, you not only commit, well, a kind of moral crime by lying, but you also tend to hurt yourself. Hubris is the product of lies, for example. You can get way over your skis if you're not honest with yourself and the people around you about what's happening and why it's happening.
Wow. That guy's talking about getting way over your skis, Colonel? My word.
Yeah. There's a lot being said about Israel in this conflict.
So let's
and I'll
just
just go back to what I said already, and that is they're our ally. They're our closest ally in the region. They're also the closest ally that has the capabilities very similar, some even better than what we have. And we should work together as a team against a common national security, vital national interest threat. And it is for both of us, more so for the Israelis than us. But for Tucker to say that would say that he had to be in the room when Prime Minister Netanyahu looked President Donald J. Trump in the eye and said, "You're going to do this for us." Come on. Really? I don't think so. Look, we did the 12-day war, but it was very clearly stated we were going after American national interests, and a byproduct of that operation was going to be to help the Israelis. In this case, have very clearly stated this is a joint and combined operation with not only Israel, but our other allies in the region, including Muslim and Arab Gulf states and Arab states in the area that are part of the Abraham Accords. They're all actively involved in this operation in one way or another. And it's because it's something that's going to get done if we act as a team and we maintain solidarity. And it could be Saudi Arabia that's in the position of Israel, as far as I'm concerned, but they're not. They're nowhere near that capability. And they're nowhere near that reliable as a democratically elected government, et cetera, and those kind of things. So I appreciate Tucker. I still believe he's a good person. He means well from the heart, but he doesn't have that information, Brandon. I don't have that information. But I can tell you how allies work together in this type of operation, that this operation is in the vital national interest of the United States. Every conflict since 1979 has had the hands of the Iranian mullahs in it. Every conflict. The Beirut, Lebanon bombing, Hezbollah, Hamas, the PIJ, all of these groups that
October 7th.
That organized October 7th, the groups that organized in the Iraq War, in the insurgency phase of the Iraq War, and killed over 600 American soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Coast Guardsmen. All of them have a root, and the root is the Islamic Republic of Iran, led by the mullahs and protected by the Iranian Republican Guard Corps and their Quds Force, their Special Operations Force, and they know it. And this operation is being so successful. Let me just lay it out for you. Yesterday, an Iranian minister had to declare on live TV that his military units that are firing on the Gulf Arab states are not under the control of the command. Think about that. We have destroyed their command and control so well that there are organizations that are still in existence that can pull a trigger are following what I call last stand orders. These are the orders you follow when all communications is cut off and the country looks like it's going to be invaded and taken down. That's how effective our disruption and destruction, not just disruption, but our destruction of their command and control system is. Last night, in the hours of darkness, we sent B-1 bombers deep into Iran to strike ballistic missile targets. Those are the most, other than the nuclear stuff, those ballistic missiles are their most precious and protected targets. The B-1 is not a stealth bomber. It has some stealth characteristics, but that tells you that we have destroyed their ability to defend themselves in the air so well that we would risk a rare and highly expensive asset and 4 crew members in each jet to go deep into Iranian territory to destroy their most protected targets. That tells you how successful we are being. The CENTCOM announced just before I came on the air that there are no Iranian Navy ships left afloat in the Gulf of Oman. There were 9 when the operation started. There are 0 now. The only aircraft carrier that's been sunk, contrary to the Baghdad Bob types in the Iranian forces, is the Iranian drone carrier that has been attacked and destroyed from the minute the operation started. No American carriers have been struck. Yes, unfortunately, we've lost 4 Americans KIA. We lost 3 F-15Es, but the crews were recovered due to a friendly fire incident, is what it's being called so far in Kuwait. That happens in war, especially when you start bringing in more allies. In Venezuela, it was just Americans and our different services. That's why it went off so well. But when you start combining allied forces and other things, and you have an enemy that's able to shoot back at you, things happen in war. And we've been very fortunate so far that these are the only things. But it is going very, very well. I see no signs that this administration, and Secretary Hegseth said it this morning in his brief. He said, there's been a lot of talk about regime change war. Well, I was in Iraq and Afghanistan. I fought that war. I agree with him. I did the same thing. This administration is not going to conduct a regime change war the way Iraq was done. Now the regime, it's changing. We've killed 40 of them, including the Ayatollah, and it'll probably change some more as they get named. We're killing them. So that regime is changing for sure. And we're doing a reframe, what's called a reframe on the term regime change war. This is the kind of regime change war that this president and this administration is going after because it works and it's got precedent and it's legal and it's the right thing to do because these people have been killing us and causing innocent people to be killed for almost 50 years. It's past time for it to be over. And I, for one, I don't know that I would have made the decision at this point because I don't have the info that President Trump's has, but I'm glad he did it. It's working out so far. Expect more casualties. Expect more incidents to go awry. That's what happens. And I expect that this will last probably 30 days to 5 weeks. That's what it takes. About 20,000 targets that can be destroyed by air that we know of. And there will be also those that get uncovered in the process that we have to go back and attack too. So it's dismantling these people's capability.
Sometimes you have to do what's right, even if it's not politically popular. And yet, there is a political price that can be paid for doing this kind of thing. But yet, we're now seeing from a recent poll, Democrats are stunned after a major new poll just found Republicans surged 8+ points in the 2026 congressional ballot, now tied 50-50 with Democrats. They were previously trailing by 8 per Harris. So I don't know. We'll see where this all goes. Logan was telling me about a poll he saw yesterday where only 27% of Americans supported this. But that's largely based on propaganda, misinformation, and all kinds of, operations, warfare that's been going on by enemies, foreign and domestic. Let the truth get out there, which is why we're here. I mean, this is what Worldview Tube's about, putting out the truth and then bringing in experts from various fields, like Colonel Rob Maness and his amazing bio, which you ought to read his bio, by the way, over at robmaness.com. Go read his bio. When I read his bio the first day, I was like, why have I not heard of this guy before now? This is amazing. And we've got him on our network, and we're so honored to have him on our network. And to have Aaron in Israel, and Annie with her expertise in speaking Farsi and her expertise in that area. And Jason Pratt was just on, and his expertise of having been in the National Reconnaissance Organization and a fighter pilot and a literal Army or a Navy rocket scientist. That's what we do. We bring the best and the brightest together, and we speak the truth. And sometimes a leader like President Trump and others, Reagan, they have to go with what's good and right. And sometimes people will see it, and sometimes they won't. I'm hoping that people will see what you've been talking about and what we've been talking about for so many years, which is Hezbollah. They're obviously, they're proxy of Iran. Iran funding October 7th, other terrorist attacks. That Iran is, of course, has been a threat to this country. And if people can't see it because they haven't been watching the right news channel or they've been reading the disinformation of other people, well, maybe they'll hear the truth now and see. And President Trump, I guess, in just 48 hours, his poll numbers have already popped as far as the midterms.
Yeah. Look, Brandon, this is a war to end this war. This is an operation to end this war. It's not a new war. There are those people that are out there on my side of the aisle that voted for President Trump that are saying they're disappointed because he's starting a new war. This is not a new war. Wake up, people. Stop being silly and read a history book or read a newspaper or just search it online. Okay? It takes 10 seconds for Grok to tell you what the history of this war is. And this is an action to end this war. This is the peace president. And I don't say that lightly because, look, we have to question everything. You've heard me question his decision to do the 12-day war. But he did it the way he said he would do it, and it was successful. Unfortunately, after that, Secretary Hegseth said today in his briefing, he said, look, the president went back to these people after the 12-day war, Operation Midnight Hammer, and said, okay, you got to give up your nukes. And they were arrogant, and they wouldn't come to the table, and they kept playing the same games they played with Obama and Biden and all that. And I think this president went the extra mile even for them and made sure that he had the right assets, the right inventories of weapons. I hope he's got the right inventories of weapons. I don't have any visibility into the realities of the numbers, but that would be a question I would be asking because of our limited manufacturing capability. But we've spent a year rebuilding those manufacturing capabilities and increasing production lines and those kind of things, and he got the money to do it in the big, beautiful bill and the defense budget that went with it, I believe. So I think we're okay there. Let's see how this goes. Strange things happen in war, unfortunately. So you're going to see them happen continually until we get completed with what we're doing. And the bottom line is we are systematically dismantling this government that has been attacking Americans and others around the world for almost 50 years and being a source of death and destruction and tyranny. And it's past time for it to be over. And I'm glad that our allies are all with us on this, at least in the area anyway. We have some NATO allies that are being stupid too, and maybe that's another question of why we should be breaking NATO up.
Colonel Rob Maness, each and every day, 2 p.m. Central. 2 p.m. Central, 3 Eastern Standard. Right, Dolly? 2 p.m. Central, 3 Eastern Standard, each and every day. Colonel Rob Maness, his broadcast can be heard here on Worldview Tube. His website's robmaness.com, robmaness.com. As always, Colonel, great to have you with us. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Brandon. Thanks for the coverage. Doing a great job.
Thank you. You're welcome back here anytime, of course. Colonel Rob Maness, hope you'll check him out each and every day right here, 2 p.m. Central on worldviewtube.com. We're going to come right back with Patrick Wood. Unless he's ready to go now. Is he ready? 1 minute? All right. Let me just mention real quick while we're waiting for Patrick, otherwise we'll go to a break and grab him. It's so important that you support what we're doing. Now, some of you would like to get something in exchange for supporting us. Now, you do know we push out all of our programming for free. We could put all this behind a paywall, and we make all of our shows available for free for 7 days. We could say, okay, tell you what we're going to do. We're going to make the stream free for you to watch when it's going live. But after that, to watch the replay, you'll have to join the vault. We could do that. We don't even do that. Not only do we make the stream free, we take these programs and we put them back up online and let you watch them for the first time or watch again or share with family and friends for 7 days. Now, after that 7 days, they do roll into our vault where we have archived 36 years of my documentaries, books, radio shows, TV shows, 21 years of my National Worldview Weekend conferences. I'm talking about all kinds of amazing speakers that are archived there. And the thing is, the grass withers and the flower fades, but the Word of God will stand forever. So much of what we produced, folks, it doesn't ever age out. It's never like, oh, well, that's not relevant. That's so old. That's not relevant. We have so much biblical worldview, so much history, so much Bible teaching. It's more relevant now than ever. So consider joining the vault. Now, you can do that at worldviewtube.com/vault, worldviewtube.com/vault. You know, I've been talking for a long time before we go to Patrick. I've been talking a long time about how we built a bunch of new servers, powerful servers, humongous computers that we've been building for over a year. It is costing several $1,000s a month, several $1,000s a month to build these servers, these fast computers, and then to build the program that allows you to search 36 years of our content. And I've been telling you that. And I was hoping it would be done by now. But we're not going to release it until it works like I want it to work. Because I don't want anyone saying, well, this is nice, but it could be better. No, 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 no. I want you going, oh my goodness, I can't believe what he's got here. Well, let me tell you something, folks. We are getting very close. Because Logan and I saw in a demo the other night what our IT team has been working on. And you're going to be able to type in and ask questions like, what is Fabian socialism? What's communitarianism? What's the 6 dominant worldviews that rule the world? Tell me about the Gog-Magog war. Tell me about Sharia or Islamic law. Tell me about the Muslim Brotherhood. Tell me about Hamas. You're going to be able to ask it detailed theological questions, worldview questions, history questions, economics questions. And I watched our guy do that. And I watched this thing spit out the answer. Not only is it spit out the answer, it's telling you what radio show, what TV show, what book, what documentary did this come from. Oh, this answer came from Brandon's book, Put Your Beliefs to the Test. This answer came from an interview that Brandon did with Colonel Rob Manus. Date, here's the date. This interview came with an interview Brandon did with Phil Haney. Remember the late Phil Haney? This interview came from Brandon interviewing Jimmy DeYoung. It gives the date. You know, whether it's TV, radio, you're going to get answers with all kinds of video clips. It will pull out. If the answer is a 2-minute answer on a video that's an hour long, it's going to pull out just that 2 minutes. That programming alone took weeks and weeks and weeks. And we own that software. We developed that software. I paid for that to be developed. It's proprietary software that belongs to our organization to be used by you and me. And so you're going to get all the video clips that pop up where Jimmy DeYoung, Andy Woods, Rob Linstead, whoever talked about that Bible prophecy question. And you can choose any of those video clips. Then you're going to be able to choose any of the audio clips coming off of radio where we talked about that. Or any of the text. Oh, this was in this book, this interview, whatever. It's going to blow your mind. We saw it demoed the other day. We're very close to releasing it to you, the public. And you're going to be able to ask it about 4 questions a day, absolutely free of charge. But if you're a Vault member, you're going to have access to this 24/7. And I have no intentions now of raising the price of the Vault. I'm going to be adding in something that has cost us tens upon tens upon tens of thousands of dollars for the past over a year we've been developing. And I have no intention at this time of raising the Vault membership. What I plan on doing is paying for it by increasing Vault memberships. So if you're not a Vault member, you should already join. And it's going to be an amazing thing to be a member when you see this launched in the next week or two. So please consider joining now. Worldviewtube.com/vault, worldviewtube.com/vault. Great way to support us and get great information as well.